myself like that. You know what's down with Flint Town? I am Randall W. Scott III. My main man, Ray, Big Ray Dog Asensio to my left. And you ain't even going to believe who's to my right. You ain't going to believe who's to my right. The main man, the man of the day, the hour, Flint City legend. We're talking soccer player, baseball maestro, killer of all time. Hector Flores is in the house. Yes. What up, big dog?
Oh man, I don't know that I need an introduction like that, but thank you. I'm super pumped to be here. Randy, it's been a long time. Ray, it's been a long time. Ray reached out to me a couple months ago, maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And man, I'm glad we finally put it together. I had to cancel the last one because my son had some wrestling deal, but oh man, I can't wait. Let's go. I've even been doing some homework. I've been watching a little bit of what's going on, so I'm ready. Let's go.
Always prepared. This guy's always prepared. That's how he rolls right there.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, so we got to start. We start every time with a roll call, right? And Ray, this has been your topic for a long time, so give us that topic.
Okay. Records that will never be broken. In any sport, any level, don't matter what it is. Records that will not be broken, that you would bet your bottom dollar this record would never be broken. That's what we're doing today.
Okay, all right. So we got a guest here today. So Hector, we're going to let you kick it off. You get the very first one. So give us that record you don't think is going to be broken.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because I instantly go to pro sports. Because those are the most prolific.
Sure.
Those are the big ones everybody remembers. But so many sports have changed so much over time, right? You think like baseball, right? Just the game has changed, how we play, how they use pitchers. Football has changed now. They're airing it out. They're throwing it right. So I think there's the one that comes to mind for me is baseball, and it's a pitcher. Well, obviously, maybe I'm biased, so you guys are gonna have to keep me straight here. Nolan Ryan, 7 no-hitters. I think the game has changed so much that even the greats in the game today don't even get the opportunity to go a full game, let alone a no-hitter.
Yeah.
So I'm going with Nolan Ryan, 7 no-hitters.
That's a great one.
Can't argue with that one.
Yeah, I mean, Hector was old school. The dude used to throw double headers, right? And now they won't even let a pitcher go 7 1/3. They got to pull him, right? You know what I mean? Like
one time I threw a double hitter at Northwestern off a quarter of a parking stop. Swear on my life. And
I was there.
And listen, from the pitcher's mound to home plate was uphill.
Okay, hold on. Can I add to that? Hector, listen, 3-4 months ago, Randy and I were in this very studio right here. Now, when you guys were in the 9th grade, I was in the 8th grade. I used to go watch Botsy Oaks play. He played with you guys, so I used to go with his mother to watch the games. Mm-hmm. And I had mentioned to Randy about that yellow parking block at Northwestern High School. I mentioned that right here a couple months ago.
Yes, we remember that.
I remember people that story
funniest shit ever
at work, and they think I'm making it up. No. And I'm like, it was a parking block.
A parking block.
Yeah, that's what we call some Flint Town bullshit. That shit was real. That was real.
This wasn't one of those flat parking blocks. This was one of those things that was like 3 feet high.
The ones you hit the bump and in your car, you boom, like it was big.
And they just broke off a chunk. It was about that big. And that was the pitching mound.
They called that the
How do you defend yourself with that parking block there? What if somebody hits a scud this high off the ground and it ricochets off of that parking block?
It was insanity.
You know what I'm saying? Big Wade Jackson or somebody.
You can't let him hit it.
And no offense about this, it was Northwestern baseball, so they probably didn't hit much. But
right.
But you know what else was crazy too? So you guys know Northwestern there on Carpenter Road. It was right next door to Flint Powers, right? And Flint Powers had a decent field back there, right? Like so we're looking at a decent field and we're playing like 100 yards away in the backyard of Northwestern, and it was like, what is this? Yeah, the mound was going. It was uphill, and I was like, whatever, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Powers. They never went to the Music Planet on Carpenter Road. They were too scared to go there, so fuck that school.
Music Planet's still open, dude.
Still open, right?
It's
got a Ticketmaster in it.
Dude, still open.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Randy.
All right, okay. I think Hector, dude, you hit it right on the head, right? The records, the game that's changed the most is that baseball, right? And I think the DiMaggio hit streak is one of those that might not be broke either. It's come close a couple times, right? But like, I just think that one's so hard. It's so hard to show up every day and get a hit, every day and get a hit. You know what I mean? Like, and you could get 4 hits one day, But you ain't guaranteed one hit the next day, So it's like,
'cause
whoa.
you're seeing 4 different pitchers.
Yeah.
You know, like back in you'd get 3 at bats maybe against the starter and then maybe 1 against the relief. Now you're seeing 4 different pitchers that are throwing 102.
Yeah.
So it's like good luck, right? So that's another good one. I don't see that one getting broke anytime soon.
I think we're on the.
I think Pete Rose came the closest. He had a 44 game inning streak snapped by the Atlanta Braves. Okay. I'm glad we're on baseball because I had already planned on talking about baseball and pitchers. This is my go-to record of any sport. This is my go-to. I'm going for the guzzler or juggler. How's that going?
Juggler.
Yeah, going for that too.
Guzzler.
All of it. He's going for all of it.
Going for all of it.
This area
Patrick
is gone.
Swayze. Yeah, I'm going for
This area is gone.
Listen, man. Johnny Vandermeer, consecutive no-hitters. A person would have to pitch 3 straight no-hitters to break that record. That will never happen.
So he pitched back-to-back no-hitters.
Back-to-back no-hitters. So that's the record, too. So somebody would have to pitch 3 in a row to break that record. I don't think that ain't getting touched.
When did that? What year was that?
I think, 30s?
Probably,
30s or 40s. 100 years ago.
Yeah, well, he didn't do it off a pitching parking block though.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Okay. All right, let's see if we can get a couple rounds of this in. What you got? Hector?
You know, I'm going to stick with baseball, and this is probably the easiest one, but it's Cal Ripken, right? I mean, there's that many games,
That's right.
that many seasons. I remember watching the game where he set the record, and that's one consecutive starts, and to do it at short, it's never going to happen again.
Yeah, that was incredible, right? What was that number? Do you remember
Is
the
it
number?
2163? 20?
I know it was
Well, that was the record. He went higher.
He went higher, but that's the one he broke.
But I think it was 16 years without missing a game.
Every day. 162 game season.
That's insane.
Now, Randy, here's something you would appreciate about that Cal Ripken thing. You know what he did in the offseason to stay in shape? Open gym basketball. That's what Cal Ripken, and he could dunk too, right?
Really?
I mean, he couldn't put it down like Dominique Wilkins, but he could dunk. Yeah.
I mean, an athlete's an athlete, right?
And that's a good one, man. Cal Ripken, that's a damn good one.
Okay, that's a good one. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna take it local, right? And I'm gonna put this out there right now. Flint Central football going 11 straight wins. We were 11-0 at one point, okay? And then you know what I'm talking about, right? And first of all, there's only one Flint High School left, right? Only one city school left, so that narrows it down, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that we were able to put that together and do 11 straight, I'm putting my claim on that one. It ain't gonna be beat. Not by a Flint school. Not by a Flint school.
To the 94 Central Indians.
Hell yeah.
Very
Let's
good,
go,
man.
baby.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Let's go.
And Central's the only city school to win in the playoffs. The 84 team won 1 game. We won 2 games.
Yep.
The only now you're probably thinking, well, what about Rick Leach's Southwestern teams and Booker Moore and all them in the 70s? They didn't have a playoff system back then, so that's why. Yeah, we got the right. We're the best, like you said, Randy.
I'm going to stick with that one.
Okay, I'm sticking with baseball for a second because I had this one in mind. And after I name this, because Hector was a great pitcher, I want him to explain, put in perspective how hard that this would be. Oral Hershiser, 59 consecutive scoreless innings against major league talent. How hard would that be, Hector?
No, listen, that's a great one, and that says it says a lot about Oral Hershiser, but the team behind him is like to do that. You've got to have a team behind you that's helping you do that because you can't do that by yourself. I mean that's so absolutely incredible for him to be able to pull that off. That consistency, throwing strikes, putting it where they're going to hit it, but keep it in the ballpark. But you got to give your defense a chance, and to do that, he's got to have an unbelievable defense to do that. So that's
okay.
That's a great one. That's unbelievable.
The Bulldog, baby.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That one's not getting touched.
Bulldog. Okay.
That one's not getting touched.
All right, cool. All right. We're back to Hector.
Okay.
Got another one? Don't let. Hey, if we run out, we run out. We don't have to do it all day.
We'll
do one more each.
I think this is one, and I'm going to go to my favorite team in the '90s. Randy's, of course, was the Cubs.
Yes,
mine was the A's. And Ricky Henderson stolen bases.
Oh my God!
The game has changed so much. Like right, they make a big deal about what Ohtani's doing, and he's doing both sides of the play, and he's stealing some bases. But I think he'd have to steal like 50 more a year for 20 years to even get close to Ricky. So I'm going Ricky Henderson and I don't even know what his number is. It's been years since I've seen that, but
astronomical.
it's like no one's even close.
I think when he passed Luke Brock, I think he played like 9 more years after that, didn't he?
Insane.
Yeah.
The guy, and then he would step up and hit leadoff homers. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, you don't see that no more. Dude, yeah, that's a great one.
And the stolen base is a game changer.
It's
a game changer. You get a guy on second. It's just So I think it's an underrated part of the game today. Shohei's bringing it back a little bit. But it's still, to think of what he did and the consistency of how he did that is just unbelievable.
Yeah, incredible, seriously. And I do hope baseball really figures out how to bring it back. They're trying with the bigger bases and the pitch clock to try to get it going because it just needs that push a little bit, you know. And it's just a shame they don't do it on a normal basis. Now it's all home run or nothing here and like baseball, you know. I feel you.
I just used to like watching Ricky Henderson snap people in the outfield. I used to fucking love that.
Yeah.
He used to snap the shit out of people.
He did it with style. He did everything with style.
He did, man. He did. He just looked like a base stealer too when you looked at him. He just gritty and just like, he'd slide it up.
He knew he was stealing the base. The pitcher knew he was stealing the base. The catcher knew, and he was still safe.
There's nothing you could do about it.
And then he knew he was going to third. You know? Okay. All right, I'm going to go with this, and I don't have the exact number on this, but that run, the run the Celtics had with championships, right? I thought that was unbelievable. 8 in a row.
8 in a row, 11 out of 13.
11 out of 13 years. Now, I don't think that'll ever be touched in any sport, really. I mean, I know the Patriots did a good run, but it wasn't that, right? You know what I mean? And nobody's done that. That was insane. And by the way, shout out to the HBO documentary they're showing. I don't know if you've seen this. They got a little documentary on the Celtics. It's really good. It's like 10 episodes, but I'm only like 5 in. But anyways. But shout out to that. Just watching that because like a lot of that was before our time. You know when we were really watching. And until the Bird era and all that stuff. But like just that whole thing was. Havlicek and Russell and oh my God, unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff.
Okay, this one here isn't a record. It's just something that happened, and I don't think will happen again. I think I've told you this, Randy, before. Danny Ainge, when he was in high school, first team All-American. First team All-American in all 3 sports. Football, basketball, and baseball. First team All-American in all 3 sports in the state of Oregon.
Oh, he didn't save any for anybody else. And listen, and that's a good. I don't think that one ever gets changed either. And I've got 18, 19, 12-year-old, and they play sports coming up. But what's happening today in youth sports is they're making you kind of specialize in one sport, and if you don't, by the time you get to high school, you're behind. So something like that I think is rare, and I don't see it happening again because of that. And you got coaches that are trying to get kids to like. Oh, it's one sport. We need you for. And no. Like you should let them play all these other sports, but there's not enough coaches. I think that let them do that. So yeah, I don't think that one gets touched. Yeah, I don't.
And even the pro leagues, like they're trying to stretch it year round. You know what I mean? Like NFL's trying to take over the whole damn calendar. It's like, you know what? Let it breathe a little bit. Let it because it's almost being. And I love the NFL, right? But I feel like with kids growing up, they try to specialize it. You know what I mean? And like. No, man, let that kid run track in the spring. Let that kid play hoop in the winter. And then, you can play football in the fall, whatever it might be, or baseball in the spring. Like, let them change it up because it just develops you better,
Yeah.
Now they're playing travel sports at, 6, 7 years old. They're playing through the weekends. They're traveling, out of state. I mean, it's just, it's unbelievable. And so they're specializing too early. I think that's why that's a good one. That's a... No one touches it. Maybe 2 sports. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
3.
Right. And like kids can't be kids anymore. No. There was no pickup games behind you. With the power lines back there, right? Playing pickup football or go. I mean, like that. I mean, come on. You kids had to be kids, man.
Yeah.
Get a crew together, go hoop one day. You're playing street hockey the next day. You know what I mean? Like let's do something like that. But yeah, I feel you, man.
Okay, you guys got any more?
No, I've got one, and this is a notorious one, and Randy Randy was there for all of this. Freshman year, our first game, JV baseball. We go up to Midland. 16 walks in the inning, 9 in a row. Can't be beat.
Who did that?
Yours truly.
I don't know. Randy?
Yours truly.
Oh, well.
Randy, tell him the story.
Okay, go ahead.
I just know those Midland teams were a bitch.
I'm telling you.
It's like, it was insane. And then, they would get up on us so big, and this has nothing to do with it, right? Like, they were just on another planet compared to us, right?
They were.
You were a great pitcher. You were a great pitcher, and you still probably could go out there and wing it out there. But those guys, they would take everything, right? And they were walking, and the refs were always, umps were always on their side, right? And then they get up 15 runs in the first 2 innings, and then start bunting the rest of the game.
They're squaring around.
They would square around and bunt. Yeah.
These guys are squaring around.
For 3 innings, they do that. Like, God. Yeah.
And Sip's coming out to the mound, and you know what he's telling me? He's like, I'm not taking you out. Good luck.
What a dick.
So I'd hit a couple guys, and I'd look at him. I'm like,
yes.
And he kept me in there.
What were those numbers again? Say that again.
16 walks in the inning, 9 in a row.
It was unbelievable because he would just he as a coach, and I don't know where he is in life, but he did some terrible things to us, right?
He did.
He left you out there on an island like that. Like, come on, man, put somebody else in. Put Welsh in. Put Christensen in. Put somebody in, right?
Anybody.
Yeah, I know. Like, you know what he told me once, and this is a fact too, and this is different what I told you earlier. He would laugh. I was not a good ball player, but if I got on base, he said, Randy, if you get on base, you're gonna steal till they throw you out. I'm slow as hell. He made me do that.
Why?
Because he was a dick. I'm just going to say it, right? Yeah. He made me steal till I got thrown out.
Are you talking about Simple?
Yes.
He was something.
Yes.
Yeah, nobody liked that guy.
He was next level. And then, so when he left you in there, that was so crappy. Like, come on, man. It's like, God, what are you doing to your confidence? Like, the whole team's confidence, right? Anyways, yeah. He made me do it. And one time I actually stole, they threw the ball away, right? So I stole it, and then he's on third base coaching, right? And he says it out loud. All right, Randy, come on. You're going. And I didn't go on the pitch.
Right.
Like, so he threw it. I'm like, I'm not going. I'm getting thrown out by a mile. And then he kept going, no, you're coming. He said it real loud. And so I ran, and sure enough, they threw it. The guy's sitting there waiting for me. Like, with the ball. Like,
no sense.
Yeah, it was just, so, you know what,
but you're right, and that's on him, and to put us in that position, I mean, we're what, how old are we, 13 years old, right?
13, 14 years old.
As you get older, you look back and you go, okay, well, yeah, he was, he was a dick, but then you go, okay, well, how do I apply that to life, and how does that make me a better person, leader, dad, whatever, right? And you just, but I'll never forget the way he, there was no support, there was no, like, I mean, my teammates are all like, come on, let's get out. But he's like, I'm not taking you out.
Yeah.
You got to get out.
Yeah.
Like, but it taught me, I got to get, whatever situation I get myself in, I got to get out. That's what I took from it. And, but that record's not getting touched, by the way, ever.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something.
You can try.
Randy, let me ask you something. Well, I don't think I broke his record. Now, Randy, speak on it for at least a minute. Speak on it. Don't just give no short answer. I pitched one game on the JVs my freshman year. How'd I do, Randy?
I don't know if you remember that.
Your brother was my catcher, so your brother remembers as my catcher.
Yeah, he was.
Because Higgerson, listen, I'm not going to talk bad about Higgerson. He didn't want to catch for me. I'm going to leave that at that. But Macho caught for me. How'd I do, Randy?
All right. So let me tell you, we're at Kersley. We're at Kersley Park, right? Sure, at the hole.
Mention my dad, too.
Yeah, the best part is your dad. That's what I'm going to get to. The fences are real short there. And we were playing Bay City Western.
Bay City Western.
So another team that kills us, right? Mm-hmm. And Ray's out there. He goes out there and takes the mound. And these guys are shelling him, bro. It wasn't really walks. They were hitting bombs. They were hitting, I swear they hit like 2 or 3 out the Robert C. Longway. Like they were
through the trees.
They through the trees, man. They were past the creek out there, man.
These were hitting St. Joseph's Hospital.
They were hitting bombs. And your dad's in the stands. And the best part, because you could hear everything, right? And his dad is just ripping Ray. Like, oh, there goes another one. Like he was saying all kinds of stuff. And we're laughing. I know it sucks, right? Because like it's our old boy. But like his dad's making
he's dogging me out.
He's dogging him out in front of everybody. But it was funny, right? And like I don't know. It was good. It was good spirited, but can I jump back on that simple thing? I like that. You took that lesson from it, and maybe
you had to.
And maybe, maybe that was the lesson he was trying to teach us. But
you'd hope so. You'd hope so.
Yeah, that's good because that's going to lead to a question I got later for you. This is all. I love that you said that, but but you're right. Just bomb after bomb, and
But here's the situation. Also, I didn't get taken out of the game ever. They just let me in there.
No, I know.
See, Simple wasn't there when I played. It was Taylor and
Taylor. What's that? Yeah, Rick Shedd.
Yeah, it was those two. They just left me in there. Mm-hmm. And actually, your brother gave me some good advice. This is what he told me. He came to the mound. This was like the 15th time he came to the mound. He said, Ray, listen, this is what I want you to do. Because I didn't have any stuff. I could throw kind of hard. That's why I was up there. But I had no control. Macho said, just throw fastballs every single. If it hits them, it hits them. If they whatever, just don't think about it. Just wing it.
Yeah.
And I got shelled even worse.
Yeah. And shout out Macho, by the way.
Yes,
Boom.
sir.
Marcelo in the house, right?
Yeah. Hey, he threw a couple guys out that day.
Yeah,
I struck a couple guys out too, by the way. I just don't throw that in there. I struck a couple guys out.
That's all you can do.
All right. Okay. All right, Ray, you got anything else? I'm done. I ain't got no more records. What you
Okay,
got?
let me see. I had something in mind. Since we're on baseball, I don't know if this is the record, but the Atlanta Braves once won 14 straight division titles back in the 90s or 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
14 straight division titles. That's unbelievable. Let me see what else we got. Dave Winfield, All-American in 3 sports at the University of Minnesota. Mm-hmm. That's something that might not be touched. You know what? Speaking of records, I don't know shit about the NHL.
Yeah.
I will watch the Red Wings if they're in a Game 7 or whatever. Yeah. I don't like seeing Wayne Gretzky's records getting broken by whoever this fuck keep breaking his goddamn records. Yeah, man, I want Gretzky to keep all their records.
Is it? And I don't follow hockey all that much either, unless the Wings are in the playoffs. But it is, and I saw that he broke that. Did he do it in the same number of seasons, or was it even close?
That's a great
and
question.
I couldn't even has hockey changed? I don't know, right? I can tell you baseball, football.
Yeah, I don't know the number of seasons.
I don't know the number.
I know
He's
Gretzky
a lot.
I think Gretzky played like 9. I think he played 19 seasons.
And I think Ovechkin's are right around there.
Okay, it's about the same.
About the same,
okay.
yeah. I will say this though, I don't think he has the points record though, just the
no,
goals, right?
Yeah, I think because Gretzky's assist numbers were still
ridiculous. Yeah. So, and I don't know too much about hockey either, but I do know.
I just like Wayne Gretzky having all the records because that's our youth.
He's still a great one.
That's a great one. Is Dustin Johnson the golfer? Is he still married to his daughter?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Is he?
Yes. Okay. All right. I got a Wayne Gretzky story.
How would you like to be Dustin Johnson right now? Some guys have it all.
Yeah, he made a deal with the devil. You can't do that. You can't golf that well and then marry Wayne Gretzky's daughter. There was another one, and I only know this because I lived in Louisiana for so long. Pete Maravich, his average points in college, and I'm going to get this wrong. I want to say it was close to 40 points a game.
He averaged 40. He averaged 44 points a game with no 3-point line.
No 3-point line.
A kid would have to play 4 years of college basketball and average 45 points a game to break that record.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable. So that one's not getting touched.
That ain't getting broken at all. Yeah. Okay, Mark. I don't know how many bowling fans we got in here.
Okay.
And Mark Roth, he won 8 PBA titles in one season.
Yeah.
I'm going to put in perspective on how many that actually is. If you win 2 titles in a season, you're probably going to be the player of the year that year. If you win 3 titles, which that kind of happens often, you're a shoo-in for the player of the year. We rarely see 4. This motherfucker won 8 in 1978. Mark Roth, 8 PBA. I know my bowling geeks will get a kick out of that one, but.
Okay.
Mark Roth.
All right. Hey, hold on. Who am I? Who am I right now?
Do that again. Les Nesbitt from WKRP in Cincinnati?
No, I'm Pistol Pete's college teammate trying to get a pass.
I'm open.
Hey, I'm right here. I'm open. Oh, there he goes again.
Oh my God. Nice. Well played.
That's those Pete Maravich numbers are unbelievable.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's insane, right?
I wish I could have seen Pete Maravich play at Rucker Park with all them Rucker legends at Harvard.
Yeah, crazy, right?
That guy was he was before his time, that's for sure.
Yep.
Died of a heart attack at open gym playing basketball.
That's the way you go out.
40 years old.
Right?
40 years old. Had a heart attack on the court.
Okay, not that early. All right, not that
40.
early. But man, that's crazy.
Yep. Now his father, Press Maravich, was the coach at LSU while he played there, so that could be a big reason why he got all the shots.
Never came off the court.
Yeah.
He never came off the court, got a shot. But still,
No, I'm not hating on him. He was probably just better than everybody else to get the rock, right? I'd have been passing to him too. Like, hey, here you go, Pistol.
I read a Pete Maravich book one time. You know what this guy used to do for hand-eye coordination? He used to sprint across railroad tracks dribbling a basketball. And he used to go up and down a flight of steps dribbling 2 balls up and 2 balls down.
Crazy. That's
Yeah. Pistol Pete.
Doesn't make
That's
sense.
mad handles right there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about that. Okay.
Oh, that was pretty good, man. Good stuff, Hector.
Pretty good.
That's
All
pretty
right.
good.
Hector came in
Randy,
firing,
what'd
man.
you average River Bottom Nightmare? What was your point per game average?
Probably like 0.07. I had more fouls I did than
What was
points.
our win percentage?
It was not good. It was not good. Yeah.
We look good though. We
We did. We had the orange rocket. We were going, baby.
I can't believe I should have brought that jersey.
Oh, you should have, man. That's awesome. You still got it, right? You guys don't know. We'll do a whole episode on River Bottom. What's up? You don't even know about that. We were the bad boys +2, man.
Got the colors on, right?
You know what? That wasn't on purpose, but I'm glad I wore this. Yeah.
Did we just get issued orange?
Yes, that's how it started. That's how it started.
Okay.
We just because they just handed out those intramural jerseys,
right.
and we were orange, and then so boom, that became River Bottom Orange. We renamed the color River Bottom Orange. That's what we did.
Where'd you guys play at? Whaley? The East? Was it the East League?
Central, the intramurals.
Intramural.
Oh, intramural. Oh, okay.
That was the first time we did that, and then we took it to baseball, the city B League, man, the beer league city baseball team, man. They hated us. We were young and dumb.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Jason Welch started to fight every day. It was great.
Did that softball too. Yeah. I got him off the baseball fields. I got him traveling on softball circuit. He started fights there too.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's how we rolled. All right, y'all, let's switch it up a little bit. Okay, we're going a little more serious on this one, Hector. All right. So I was thinking about this. We were like, all right, we got to get some good questions, and Ray's gonna have one in a second. But like, all right, we all came from the same place. Yep. We grew up in the same city, same neighborhoods. You know what I mean? We did the same things. We came up the same way. And so I guess I'm asking you, what? I know you took a lot of lessons. You already told us one you took from Simple, stuff like that. But what are the main takeaways you took from the way we grew up into your adulthood and the way you raise your kids now and the way you do your life? Like, what were some of those lessons, good or bad? Like, what are the things that shaped you from this place?
Oh, no, that's a great one, man. I thought we were going to talk all sports today, but I'm glad you went here, man. So I would say, the thing to me about like where we grew up and how we grew up, it's something I talk to my kids a lot about because they don't have it, and we grew up with Mexicans, white guys, black guys. Like it didn't matter. A good person was a good person, and like you started hearing a little bit about racism like in high school and stuff, but being able to just be like, man, that's a good. I like. Why is that your friend? Oh, he's just a good person, right? And that's something I've taken with me my entire life. I've lived in the South. I lived in Louisiana for about 7 years, and that's a whole different level of racism down there. It was weird when I first went down there, culture shock going from Flint, Michigan to Lafayette, Louisiana, and I made some friends down there, and they happened to be black guys. I don't know if I just related more, but it was just good people. There's good people and bad people of all races, right? And just people you can trust and can't trust. Like you get that vibe from people, and and I've used that in the work environment. Like just you know who good people are and not good people, and spending time with those people is what's important. And you should never limit yourself to be like, oh, I can only talk to these people because of X, whether it's age or race or anything. It's good people are everywhere. Bad people are everywhere. And growing up in an environment where, it was always about that, and it was always about, loyalty, because, you meet these good people. And I mean, how long have you two known each other?
Yeah. 35 years? 35 years?
Right. I mean, I lost, my good friend Luce a few years ago, but people like that, like I've known them since we were 5 years old, 6 years old. And that's, like I talk to people at work all and they're like, what do you mean? You know somebody from elementary school? And I'm like, fuck yeah, I do. Yeah. Right. And some of the best people in the world. And even today, like we come to Flint a lot. I don't live here, but we come here all the time. And people are like, what are you doing in Flint? I'm like, it's the people, man. It's the good people that they made the city what it is and what it will always be. And we took our kids to see the Clarissa Shields movie the other day, and there's some of that in there, right? It's like being loyal, trusting who you are. The name of the movie is what, Fire Inside,
Fire
right?
Inside, yep.
And it's about I remember talking to my 12-year-old after the movie, and he was like, "Was Flint really like that?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's how You know, that's how she grew up, and that's real. There was nothing, you know, made up or dramatized. Like that was, she dealt with that, and there people from Flint have stories like that about their childhood and you know, being tough, and you know, we all grew up with some ties probably to the automotive business and the ups and downs that came with that, and the inconsistency in income, and you know, we didn't know we were poor growing up. It was just right. It was just, I mean, we had what we needed, and our parents made sure we had as much as we could, and we were grateful for it. And we didn't know it wasn't, you know, being rich, but you know, we were rich in different ways. But man, I could go on and on about this topic, Randy, because I think it's such a good one, and it's something that I try to, you know, my kids grew up way different than I did, and they don't. You know, I try to tell them some stories, and they're like, "Yeah, it does." I can tell it just doesn't resonate, and it's tough to resonate. I mean, some of the stories, I'm sure that all three of us could tell about certain things we saw growing up, or situations we, you know, found ourselves in and had to get out of, and probably didn't think we were getting out of. It's hard for them to realize, but you know, trying to boil it down to just, you know, people and you know, trusting those people and finding your people is something that, you know, just you're gonna use for the rest of your life. So you know,
That's well said, Hector. You know, my dad taught us, and I used to tell my kids when they were little too, about treat the janitor the way that you would treat the CEO. Treat them the same way. And you know, growing up, you know, Mexican American like yourself, man, I've told Randy this before. I could have very easily lived a gang lifestyle and did this and that. And I'm not talking down on gangs or nothing like that, because I was friends with most of them. But I just like playing sports, man. All my friends played sports. You guys were athletes and all that. And my sisters played sports. My dad was a good-ass athlete at Beecher. And, man, I tell you, I don't know what I would have, if I didn't play any sports and maybe grew up in a single-parent home, I don't know how my life would have turned out.
Yeah.
But my dad, he gave us the same values that your dad was a good man too. But yeah, treat the janitor like you would treat the CEO.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know, as hard as this city is and was when we were growing up, like you said, we were given the opportunity. Our parents put us in the spots where, you know, and they had sports programs, right? Where we could flood to and meet good people like this and just, you know, do that. And it's great that, you know, probably your kids don't have to see that part of it, right? But at the same time, I could feel you want them to have the lessons, right? But having them get those lessons, but not have to go through that stuff we went through, you know, like that. That's deep stuff, man. I'm glad you answered that the way you did, because and I'm glad to be here with two good people right now. Seriously, you guys are two of my favorite people in the world. I'm just gonna say that, right? I'm talking about since 7th grade locker partners, right? That's what I was
telling Leo, my 12-year-old, this morning. I was watching one of the older podcasts, and he's like, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to the," and I asked him to come with me. I wanted him to come with me, but he was going to go play basketball with some friends. And I said, see, this guy was my locker partner from 7th grade, man. And you know, it went over his head, but I was like, he don't even understand. But here's a funny story too. So I get done with Washington School, getting ready to go to Whittier, and I had heard that they had a real good music program, right? I don't know if you guys didn't play any instruments, but Debbie Smith Whittier was like iconic. She was like, I mean, just she made you know, playing music, and you know, I played the saxophone for a couple of years, but I really started liking playing the saxophone in 6th grade at Washington, and I asked my mom to sign me up for the I forgot what they called the art music program at Whittier.
Okay, yep.
But anyway, she messed it up and signed me up for the gifted program. So I get to Whittier my first day, homeroom 217, Miss what was?
Oh my God!
Picture,
Yeah,
Doc
Sample. Doc
Sample.
Thank you,
Yes.
Chris.
Yes.
Shout it out. Yeah.
So I show up to class, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, where's Luce? Where's Mark? Where's Ray? Who are all these people? Right? And you and Jeff and all, like you guys are hanging out, and Yvette and man, like these people know each other, and I'm like, I didn't know anybody, and I'm like, where are my boys at, man? Right? Yeah. And I was like, ran into them at lunch, and I'm like, we're in the basement. I was like, what? My boys in the basement? What am I doing up on the 2nd floor? And they were like, oh, you're second floor, man. You're like, and I'm like, I was supposed to be down there. So I remember going home crying. I'm like, Mom, what'd you do? And she's like, I signed you up for the gifted program. You got in. She was all proud, of course. And I was like, what do you mean? But then, right, another life lesson where you go, man, I met all you guys, like a whole different crew, right? And it was life changing, and then that carried over to high school. But it was just meeting a whole group of people that I didn't get exposed to in elementary school, and that was just some of the Terry, remember Terry?
Yeah.
Miss Lewis.
Miss Lewis, man. Oh my God, Miss Lewis. Yeah.
But so that was cool. I wouldn't do anything differently. Just going through that was pretty cool. But I do remember the first couple of days. I was like, man, I'm supposed to be in the basement with my dog.
You know. I kind of felt the same way, and I knew I was talking to Jeff. I didn't know those guys though.
Oh, you did?
I didn't know they were. They didn't. I didn't know them at all. The first day I just started talking because I think they had baseball cards or something. So me and you were kind of in the same boat because all my friends were going. All the Eccles, they were in the basement too. I'm like, so that was different. So that was cool, man.
What was the basement? I didn't go to Whittier. What do you guys mean by the basement?
That was the bilingual. Like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So all of them went down. All the like Miss Olivares, they were all in the basement.
Okay. That's the basement. All right.
So they spent their whole school day in the basement. They'd come up for lunch and then go back to the basement. And we were on most of our classes were on the second floor.
Yeah.
And every once in a while we'd go to a different floor for something. Third floor for computers or something. Yeah. But it was
different.
That's where they were all.
They kind of separated people for good or bad, and it came out some different ways, right? So cool. All right, Ray, what you got, man? Let's get to the next.
Okay.
thing.
That was a good, serious question.
It was good.
That
turned out well. The answers, right?
We're gonna get back to kind of the having fun part. Now, I just kind of added this myself. Before I get into my question, I'm gonna do kind of a re-question, something you and I had talked about a couple years ago. Hector, I need 4, okay? 4. Randy and I once did a all tough guy team of our friends, just people we know. So I say all that to say this, Hector. Now look, we understand, no one's going to get shortchanged. I know, because I know like 5,000, alpha dogs, whatever. But I want the top 4 right now. If you had to get on the phone and there's like 10 guys out there, no weapons, no nothing.
Yeah.
And you can only call 4 on the phone right now, and they'd be here in 15 minutes. Who you calling on the phone right now?
Oh, man.
Here we go.
So I got to. We'll go back to this is high school time because I've lost a couple of them, right? So
anybody, yeah.
And I would need
guys that can throw down.
Oh yeah. So number one on the list without question, and I don't even think the second person, I don't know who that is yet, but is even close, but Louis Ramirez.
Okay.
Hands down, Louis Ramirez, there's no other person I've ever seen fight or be challenged or just alpha, or, back to the previous question, just stand up for their friends in a situation.
Of course.
Like that. Like that. And just, he had a switch, that I've never seen in somebody that could just change from just kind of fully aware of the situation and just notice something's going downhill before anyone else notices and just take care of it. And because he's trying to just take care of the people in the room because those are his. So Louis Ramirez number 1. Oh man.
Family members, anybody, co-workers.
Well,
anybody.
What? Look, my brother's on the list. Mach, one of the bravest men I've ever met in my life. So he's on that list. He went to the Army after Michigan State. All that kind of stuff. But him too. In any situation like that, Mach has your back. It doesn't even matter where you are, what it is. If you're his boy, and he's given 100% no matter what. So my brother's on that list. Oh man. I don't know if you guys remember a real good friend of mine from Rollingwood, Joey Munoz.
Yeah, I know Joey.
I don't know if you remember Joey.
He used to box. I know Joey.
Yep. So
he boxed with my uncle Gator.
Yep. So Joey's another one. I'd put Joey on that list. So I'm at 3 now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm at 3 and I'm not losing already. So my number 4 is just going to be oh man, jeez.
Give us a tough relative like a cousin or uncle or somebody. I know you got 30,000 cousins like I do. Come on, one of them.
They're all in Texas, and you guys won't know them.
You can shout them out on here, you know. Be like, hey, Juan, watch our podcast. I mentioned you earlier or something. Anybody, coworker, somebody at General Motors.
No, they're all soft. They're all manicured hands.
Oh, manicured. Oh, shit. I bite my fingernails all the time.
Oh man, I don't know about a 4th one, man. I can't.
He don't need a 4th one. He's got 3.
I don't think
I think that's good enough.
You know what? I could probably make a 4th just because I could just stand back and just
Hey, that's how I did
but
it.
those 3 right there.
About big Ryan Howard, someone like that.
Hey, look, Ryan Howard's no one to sleep on either. Oh man! In fact, I just saw Ryan a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, no, he's one. Ray too. But Ray's pretty. He don't like to get in too many fights.
All right.
But yeah, I know I didn't complete it, but those 3 right there, man. Holy cow!
That'll do it.
Man.
Okay, right. That's a good one. You want me to get to my question now, Ray?
Yeah, hit that question.
It's kind of similar, not really similar to Randy's question, but this is more of a sports kind of serious question. Even though you hold the record as a freshman, giving up 25 runs and hit, I don't know how many guys you hit, whatever that record was, you became a good pitcher. You were a good pitcher in high school, well respected by everybody. Now, at a lot of schools, a lot of high schools, usually like a good pitcher is usually the team's quarterback also, okay? Now, I know you didn't play football, but have you ever thought about like what kind of quarterback? Because you were like a general, like a coach on the floor type of pitcher or any sport you played.
Yeah,
if you would have been a quarterback, you think you would have been a good quarterback? For us?
It's tough to say, but I did always want to be a quarterback. So I played football at Whittier, 7th and 8th grade. In the middle of my 8th grade year, in fact, me and Andre were safeties. Andre Weather, right? And for some reason they had us running wide receiver routes, and I went out for a it was like a 10 and in type deal, and went up, caught the ball way up here, and Ricardo Munoz took me out. Right, I fell, landed right on the back of my neck, fractured a rib.
Oh,
my mom shut it down.
Really?
Yeah.
Shut it down.
Yeah.
That's why I went out for soccer my freshman year, because she was like, "You are not playing." But to answer your question, man, I would have loved to play quarterback. I think I could have. I wasn't the tallest, I wasn't the fastest, but a gamer making game time decisions.
Yeah.
To me, a quarterback is situational and making decisions on the fly. Man, I would have loved to try to do that and be that. That would have been unbelievable, man. I think about it a lot, but that opportunity never presented itself. But man, I think I would have loved to do that.
Well, you were a hell of an athlete. You would have been great. Now, Boo's my guy.
Yeah.
But hey, we'd have loved to have you too. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, I mean, you check all the boxes as far as hand-eye coordination. You're a good student, good kid. Probably the third time I said good looking. I don't mean to sound suggestive. I don't. It ain't how it sounds.
No,
you're a good looking guy. I mean, it's usually what a quarterback looks like.
Now you had the talent, but you were also a thinker. You were always deep in thought out there, no matter what you were doing, and you could tell that. And sometimes I think you almost were too deep in your head. Once in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. That did help me eventually become a good pitcher, because I'd say freshman year I was just trying to throw the ball as hard as I could.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that placement and all this stuff, and we already talked about our freshman coach, so there wasn't a lot of coaching in terms of teaching me the difference between throwing hard and becoming a pitcher.
Yeah.
Right. I kind of had to just try to I just kind of learned that over time. Like, oh man, why did he not swing at that? Oh, because he thought it was going to be here, and and then changing up speed just look like that. All just came with game after game after just playing in the summers and just that. But so but all that took was it was a lot upstairs, and you're right, Randy. There were probably plenty of times where I overthunk it, or in Higgerson, I'll tell you, I had the best 59.5-foot curveball, because he had shin marks that were. but I pitching was something, and I played adult baseball when I was down in Louisiana. I played 2 years down there, and then we moved to St. Louis. I played 2 years there, and just loved it, and that's. I started throwing even harder then, just because physically I was getting bigger and stronger, but mentally too, I was so much smarter. Yeah. And you'd start a game and it was like you don't need to throw as hard as you can in this first couple innings. You're learning them, they're learning you, and that was all part of the cerebral part of pitching and that I think would have played well if I would ever was.
That's awesome. Because St. Louis is a baseball mecca, so to be playing there like that,
that was unbelievable too. It was a wood bat league. Oh. We wore. You'll love this. We wore MLB. In fact, it's still out there. It's called the Senior Men's Baseball League. They have it in most major cities. Have it. But we were the Cubs.
Oh, nice. So all right, there you go. In St. Louis? Oh, man.
Right.
Hey, man.
In fact, the only team in the whole league that wasn't a major league team was Budweiser. Oh, so Budweiser had their own. Of course, and it was cool because the second year I was there, they had won it like every single year. And the guy that I got on the team with, he was a cop. He was the main pitcher. And I kept telling him, I was like, man, just let me pitch. And he'd let me throw a couple innings at the end of every game. Well, we went to the playoffs. Yeah. He had to travel for the day we played Budweiser. And they let me pitch, and we beat them. First time the Cubs that had beat
Let's go.
And we ended up winning the championship that year. And I think that was the last year I played hardball, fast pitch.
That's awesome, though. That's a way to go out right there. You went out with the championship.
I did, yep. St. Louis.
Taking Budweiser down.
Took him down.
Let's go.
Took him down. In fact, it was funny because the day before he was texting us, he was like, hey, it's been a great season. Let me know how bad it is tomorrow. I mean, he thought they were just going to kick our ass.
You don't know about Hector Flores. You don't know about this golden arm. You didn't know about that, Ray. You didn't know about that.
But I asked somebody.
Raised by Coach Sipple. He didn't know.
You don't know. You don't know what this guy does.
Right.
Damn, man.
Doesn't it seem like the St. Louis Cardinals have been in the playoffs every year that we've been alive? Seems like they're always in the
reinvent
playoffs.
themselves, and they always, when I was in St. Louis, that was the year the Tigers went. In fact, that was the first World Series game I ever went to.
Was that 2006?
It was. Yeah. Yep. So I had tickets to game 3. It snowed out, if you remember that.
Yep.
So I was sitting in the stand, it snowed out. They sent us home. The buddy I went with came from New Orleans. He had to go back home. So somebody I knew took the other ticket. So I ended up going to game 5. So they say the game 3 people went to game 5. I went to game 5 by myself.
Wow.
Decked out in Tiger gear.
Wow.
Because they had canceled it, all the Detroit people went home. So there was fewer Detroit fans.
The only one left.
I was the only one left, and I was up in the Raptors with the real baseball, right? Yeah. But I'll tell you what, these baseball St. Louis fans, to your point, Ray, right? They've been there. Yep. They know it. They're great fans. They were all respectful. I don't know if it would have been different if we were kicking their ass. Yeah. But that series, we just didn't show up, right? We played terrible, but they beat us that 5th game. In the stadium, they were cool. They clinched it, right? They won the series. When I left and I was walking out, all the drunk people were coming in. Yeah. And some dude grabbed me and he grabbed my hat and put it in my coat, and I was like, man, what? He said, no. It's getting bad that way. And he was looking out for me. Okay. And because it did. It got, as I was walking that way. It got worse? They were just,
let me say something about that World Series. I had to, because I have a friend that lives in St. Louis now, and I'm going to make sure that he sees what I'm about to say right now. You guys remember the Tigers rolled the Yankees in the first round of playoffs. Swept. I don't know if they swept them, but they won 3 out of 4. Yep. And then Oakland, they just 4-0, like 4 quick-ass games. Yeah. The St. Louis Cardinals were in a 7-game series with the Mets, and you guys being ball players know that baseball is an everyday game. You can't be in a rhythm where you're taking 9 days off and then playing in the World Series. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not going to let anybody tell me any different. If the Tigers didn't have 9 fucking days off before that goddamn World Series, when the Cardinals two days rest and played in the World Series, that was the difference. They would have swept the Cardinals. I don't know if you're a Cardinals fan because you live there. Well, 4 out of 5.
I respect the Cardinals and the organization, but we looked terrible. We couldn't hit the ball.
9 days off, Hector.
In fact, I remember. I don't remember the numbers, but I remember who was the first baseman? Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean.
I think
Sean Casey.
I think at that time it was.
Yeah.
He was the only one who was hitting the ball at all that whole series. Everyone else went to shit. I mean, I bet you we scored 1 or 2 runs.
They had no rhythm. They had way too much time off.
And was that the series when Kenny? They said he was.
Yes, Kenny Rogers.
Yeah.
There was some controversy. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I think it was that series, right?
Big Kenny Rogers. But yeah, that every time I hear that World Series being brought up, it just bothers me because I think, okay, look, I'm not going to say they would have kicked their ass. I just think that they were the better team and they were a victim of their own success in the first 2 rounds.
I'll buy into that, Ray, because I do remember thinking like we looked like a completely different team. I mean, just could not hit the ball, couldn't get on base. Defensively, I think we were terrible also. So I'll buy into that 100%.
What do you think, Randy?
I think I was the luckiest man in the world because I got to go to Game 7 Cubs Cleveland. All right, okay, all right. So like that fulfilled my whole life. I got to see the Cubs win one.
Did you really?
Game 7 in Cleveland. I can't. And it was a hell of a story. We've told a lot of you, but I'll tell you off the air what we. Oh my God!
I'm so happy that you got to go to that, man. And I think you and I talked right before we got on here how long it's been since we've seen each other. But man, anytime I see the Cubs. I think of Randy W. Scott, man, because that just you love them from the day I met you.
Yep.
And there was I never even expected an explanation of why the Cubs, why not Detroit, because you just loved it. The Cubs, Ryan Sandberg, that was just your team, your man, and I've never questioned it from day one.
You know what's even crazier? Like, when I think about it, I went into television because I wanted to be like Harry Carey.
Really?
Like, literally, that's why, and I end up teaching it now when I work there. But, like, I went my career because I was like, I'm going to be Harry Carey, Didn't quite make it there, but hell, that's where I ended up in television.
That's
so,
cool.
It's crazy. Isn't it? Just to think that.
Love it.
Yeah, from an 8-year-old mentality of loving the Cubs, it went to that, right? Like, crazy. It's crazy,
Okay, Hector, I want to talk to you about something else, too. Randy and I, we've actually talked about this on the track. I always wondered, we were talking about football earlier, and I'm going to talk about somebody else now, a good friend of yours. I told Randy, I've probably had, I think over the years, I've probably had maybe 4 conversations with this guy, and they've all been good. We get along. Your buddy Ryan Howard. Mm-hmm. Now, I always wondered, now I'm just judging based on on looks, his demeanor, how he carries himself, all that shit, man. If somebody would have approached him like when he was in the 9th grade, and if he would have wanted to play football, like if he wanted to play, wanted to get better, wanted to be the best of the best or whatever, I think he's the one guy out of your group I think could have been a tough, good-ass football player. It's like if he had the determination, like wanting to play, because he also checks all the boxes. How good of a football player could he have been?
Oh yeah, I think Ryan Howard. I mean, look, let me just start by saying Ryan Howard, from just a human being, is a stand-up, unbelievable. Just one of these like Flint people, salt of the earth. Trust them with your life kind of people. And look, physically, I think he had the strength. I don't know why he didn't play high school sports, because he was a catcher. He was a baseball catcher too. So he didn't play. I think he played 1 year at Whittier. I think that's why I know he was a catcher. But I think he would have been a great football player and a great baseball player. Next time I hang out with him, I'm going to have the conversation with him. I don't know why he didn't play, but he didn't play either one. But I think he would have been great at both. Ryan Howard as a running back. Oh, right? I mean, I think he would have been a monster.
I think he could have been an all-state guard, like a left guard or a right guard with that upper body strength, that low center of gravity, those big tree trunk legs. Good student, like yourself, like I said earlier, all that stuff. Man. We've talked about that, haven't we? I always wondered, because if I could go back, if I could turn back the hands of time with my way of selling shit, the way that I know how to sell it now, I think I could have got him out there.
Oh, I think so. I think
I could have got him out there.
I don't know why we weren't selling him back then, but I think he would have been an asset to both sports, no doubt in my mind.
He probably would have been a good goalie too, maybe, huh? In soccer?
Yeah, could have been.
Or, I don't know. Yeah, right. I've talked about it. I told you, I said, if we ever get Hector on the show, I'm going to ask him.
Ask him that. Hey, you didn't say that.
The only thing that would have kept him off the soccer team probably would have been, but we needed to have like 8-9 Mexicans minimum. So, right, he might have been on the bench, but still on the team.
I mean, hold on. I don't think the team needed that. I think that was just, they knew we had to have them to be any good, right? I mean, like,
just to compete.
Just to compete. It's like, we got to get these guys because they can play, right?
I think Ryan speaks better Spanish than I do. He's a good honorary Mexican. I don't know.
All right, guys. So we do one little thing to wrap it up, right? We usually give a shout out to somebody. So let's start. We'll start with Ray down.
Okay.
You got a shout out today?
Okay. This is an impromptu shout out. I didn't know we were doing shout outs today.
We always do shout outs.
But I'm gonna do a good shout out. I'm gonna shout out Hector. I've never shouted out a guest before. I'm gonna shout out Hector. Listen, Hector, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, okay? I don't want you to think I'm blowing smoke. I really do mean this. I don't think I've seen you in 31 years either. I think we might have had a couple conversations together, but here's the weird thing about all that. I've always, even though we never hung out or nothing, I still feel like you're always a good friend of mine. I've always felt that. I know you guys are real close. You guys hung out when you were young teenagers, but I've always felt a connection towards you. Like at a quinceañera or a wedding reception, if I see you, or when your dad was still here, I always used to make it a point to go say hello to you guys and your brother too. And I'm shouting out Hector. I honestly feel like I've hung out with him all the time. I've always felt close to Hector.
I appreciate that, Ray. I've always felt a connection with the Asensio family too. Always. I mean, so when I've ever seen any of you guys, Chris has been fading me up since 7th grade. You can't get the same fade in Rochester Hills. Right?
I can't do it.
But I appreciate that, man, and I feel the same way. And that goes back to that Flint thing as well, right? It's just it's like good people. It's just like So no, that's cool. I appreciate that, Ray. Thank you.
That's my shout out, Ray.
And you know what, dude? I'm just gonna jump on right there because I swear to you, when you said start, the first thing you talked about with this day was about good people, right? And dude, you were at the top of that list. I mean that, right? And you always things were so awkward in middle school and high school, right? But just having you as the locker partner, right? It sounds so crazy, but you were steady, right? I always knew if I needed a friendly face, you would be there and you would say something. And we weren't real tight friends. We were there, but I always knew Hector was money, right? And I knew if Hector was in the room, I was gonna be all right. You know what I mean? Because it was cool. He was gonna make it cool. So just that and a million other things, right? Just the sports teams and all that stuff we kind of talked about earlier. You guys were good at this. I was just happy to be with you, and it was great. You know what I mean? So both you guys did that for me. Just always had support, and I love that, man. So you are the top of the list of those. Good
definitely.
people,
One more thing, Hector. Yeah. One more thing, Hector. Botsios talks about you all the time too. I know he loves you a lot too. He would have said basically what we just said. So on behalf of him, if he was here, he would say that about you too.
Yep. No. Thank you, Andy, and Phil Botsios, right? And high school was part of a lot of the stuff that we did, and playing sports and just being brothers, really, right? I mean, just because we all grew up so similar, just similar struggles and all that kind of stuff, and just it was just I wouldn't do anything different on the way we grew up and the things we went through, and I think we're all still learning those or using those lessons to better ourselves every day, whether it's careers or kids or relationships, all those kind of things, all come back to kind of the same thing, and it's perseverance. It's just doing what we got to do every day to be better people and challenging ourselves, looking ourselves in the mirror, and all that stuff. And so look, I want to say thank you guys for having me here, man. I already want to do it again, and I mean, I know, I can't believe, an hour's already up, but I just this was a lot of fun. I knew it was going to be a good time with you two, but man, anytime you guys have me back, I'm in, and I can't wait. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
And I want to thank Hector for one more thing also. Us as football players used to be happy when football season was over because he could be your fucking problem on the baseball field. You could get rid of this guy, that's your problem for the rest of the year.
You guys got to carry me now. That's awesome.
Good job, Hector.
All right, yeah, hey, great show, man. Yeah, thanks for being here, brother. Thank you, man. All right, y'all. Down with Flint, down the Hector episode. Killed it.